For a long time, Morocco has been a transit point for refugees dreaming of reaching Europe. But as the old continent tightens its border security, thousands are stranded here. Morocco has issued residence permits for some, but could the kingdom become their permanent home? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Inside Story from the Moroccan capital, Rabat. This country, like its North African neighbors, has become a major transit point for people searching for a better life in Europe. But unlike its neighboring countries, Morocco is the first to develop a migration policy by issuing permits for Sub-Saharan migrants. The policy was widely seen as a positive step forward, but critics say migrants in Morocco continue to face abuse, camp closures and relocation. I visited the north of Morocco and spoke to people about the struggles they face trying to reach Europe. This is a summer camp for children of refugees and local Moroccans. They've spent the summer together and now they're rehearsing for a farewell party. The aim is to raise awareness of the plight of thousands of Africans who have been forced by conflicts and tough conditions to seek a better life in Europe. Frank Iyanga arrived in Morocco 5 years ago. His fight for legal rights paid off. He's now a legal resident here. His next move is to find a decent job.
Migrants should have access to healthcare, be able to find work and take their kids to school, and above all be treated equally and with respect by the Moroccan society.
But many refugees here say they face tough times. Some live in caves or in the forest, spending the day hiding from the police. They try to climb fences to get into the city of Ceuta, which is connected by land to Morocco, but is part of Europe.
I am here for one purpose, to get to Europe. We live in the forest. Each morning we go out looking for something to eat. We have nothing. Life here is tough.
We met a group of refugees in the northern city of Tangiers. They all say they face discrimination every day. Safa Qreshel is a volunteer. She teaches young migrants English, an experience she says has changed her life.
When I first came the first day, I wasn't really into it, so but then we had these close relationships and I saw really different sides of them that were totally hidden. We had different idea about Sub-Saharan people and some of our Moroccan people too. But then the more I know them and the more I spend time with them, the more I get attached to them.
Thousands of immigrants are now legal residents in Morocco, which means they have permission to stay in the country. But there are thousands more who say they have been abandoned, betrayed by rich nations. Now that Europe has stepped up border controls, many sub-Saharan migrants find themselves trapped here in Morocco. This is their dream, Europe, on the other side of the Mediterranean. But to get there, they say they have no other option but to leave at night and attempt the dangerous crossing by boat. Joining us here in Rabat are our guests, Elizabeth Myers. She is contributing editor of MoroccoWorldNews.com. Constantine Ibandamola, he's a sub-Saharan migrant. He's been living in Morocco for quite some time. And Mohammed Ben Hammou, president of the Moroccan Center for Strategic Studies. Thank you very much indeed for joining Inside Story. Let me start by asking you, Mr. Constantine, how did you manage to get to Morocco? What was your dream?
Thank you. Morocco was not my dream first. When I leave my country since 5 years.
Your country being Congo?
Congo Democratic. When I leave my country is not for to stay here in Morocco. Morocco was like a transit for to go to Europe to look for a better life. But when I arrived here, I don't find a way for to go to Europe. I greet Sa Majesty for to give us the possibility for to stay here, to give us the residence paper.
Have you benefited from the decision taken by Morocco to be a documented migrant in Morocco?
For the moment, no, but I'm in the process. I think I will receive it, that document.
We hope so. Mohammed, Morocco has taken the decision to offer sub-Saharan migrants the right to stay with a residence permit, about 18,000 of them, I think. How significant is this move?
This policy was taken by the Moroccan, by the king and the Moroccan government because of not only that the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, start to be a humanitarian issue, and we have in this new context in our region a lot of turbulences, and a lot of people are coming to Morocco. The European countries don't have a common and coherent policy. So Morocco had to deal with this context and with this situation,
initiative.
and they take the initiative to make this new life for these people. I still remember
a few years ago, I think everyone remembers the tragic pictures of sub-Saharan migrants drowned while trying to cross from Morocco to Europe. Elizabeth, is this decision the best way out of the crisis of sub-Saharan migrants stranded here in Morocco?
It's certainly a step in terms of making Morocco less of a transit place and more of a welcoming, receiving place. However, much more needs to be done in order to make the integration of the immigrants a reality. Efforts need to be made. As Mohammed bin Hammoud says, the mobility partnership that is in existence with the EU needs to be strengthened. There need to be funds allocated to and resources allocated to how the partnership is going to work. It can't just be left to Morocco on its own devices to try and address the problem. It is really a global problem that needs to be addressed with the proper resources.
Just to explain the step taken by Moroccan authorities for our international viewers, Constantine, the first step, it was seen as a significant but still a small step, which is giving people a residence permit. But people I've been talking to here in Rabat, in Tangiers, in different parts of the country, were saying basically, but we need our kids to go to schools. We need to have the right to go to hospitals. So we're talking about a huge array of demands.
That decision to give the migrant permit, was a good decision for us. But for the moment, it's very difficult because the integration is not possible for the moment.
Why is it impossible?
We saw there is too much Moroccan people don't have a job, don't receive also the possibility for to have a free possibility to go to the hospital. But the government until now don't sign some paper to give us the possibility to receive
the rights that they've been asking for. Mohammed, Constantine is talking about Morocco by the end of the day is not a rich country. So you have unemployment, you have poverty, you have millions of Moroccans who are looking for better opportunities. So one of the questions I've been hearing again and again is, if you want to look after sub-Saharan migrants, you have at the same time to look after Moroccans here. How can Moroccans juggle those two things? They need to be a welcoming country at the same time to improve the living standards of Moroccans.
Yeah, I think that is we are in front of two different issues. Of course, Morocco tried to be and to act as a responsible state. We need to find a way and to find solutions for this situation. So I'm not sure that is impossible. It will be certainly not easy, but not impossible. We have today this new situation in Morocco that a lot of these people, we know that some of them, because they don't have the opportunity to move to the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, they will stay. Maybe they will go back after when they will have the good opportunities. But anyway, we have to respect the dignity of these people, and in the same time, I think that we are facing a global a global problem.
We will definitely go to that global dimension of the story. Elizabeth, Moroccans have been very critical of the international community, particularly of the EU, saying that we're overwhelmed basically with sub-Saharan migrants, but we're not just waiting for words from you. You have to deliver in terms of helping build a solid platform here in Morocco. What is the best way out in terms of having both Moroccans and the EU on board to try to make Morocco a welcoming country for sub-Saharan migrants?
Well, I think clearly more efforts need to be made, particularly on behalf of the Minister of Immigration and Moroccans resident abroad, to implement the provisions of the mobility partnership, and mostly with resources. The integration of the immigrants needs to be a focus of the Moroccan government. Now that the elections are over and they can focus now on getting back down to work, there need to be the programs established for integration. There needs to be public outreach so that immigrants don't face the kinds of problems that Constantine has mentioned in terms of inability to get jobs because of racism or because they're in competition with the Moroccans. There need to be focus on training of police so that they know how to deal better with immigrants. There needs to be a lot more work to be done. But as I said, it needs to be done in conjunction with the EU. And it has to be more than just lip service and agreement. There have to be actual funds allocated, and the funds need to get to the places where they're needed, including the associations who are helping immigrants like Constantine try and integrate and figure out the Moroccan process and how to negotiate the Moroccan regularization system.
The world was shocked by the picture of the drowned Syrian boy. Constantine, did you see that picture?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm feeling very bad to see my brothers and sister go to drown in the sea. But I think for me it's not the good things. Like Morocco give us the possibility to stay here, like say Madame Elizabeth. If there is an opportunity to get training, to find a job, I think it would be better to stay here in Morocco.
Mohammed, there's now an international outcry. The international community, after that front page picture of Aylan al-Kurdi now being circulating worldwide, there needs to be something needs to be done. Hypocrisy is over. We need to help those people. What do you think the international community can do now? We're talking about also Morocco. What can be done to alleviate the pain or the plight of migrants?
I think that we have to go to the origin of these problems. A lot of immigrants are coming from countries living in conflicts and, of course, underdevelopment countries. I think that it's today very important that we have to resolve a lot of problems in the countries from where these immigrants are coming. In the same time, it's very urgent today to bring some responses, and we still not have a coherent policy from facing this crisis. And
not only that, it seems that Europe is... Constantine, you want to say something? Go ahead, please.
I don't know if it's the good solution, because there is too much causes that the migrants leave the country for to go somewhere, like the catastrophe natural. How you can resolve it?
No, I think Mohammed was of the view that some of the core issues like civil war, conflicts,
the war,
and international communities should be there to help those countries to improve the living standards and to put an end to those tragedies, so that people can at least have a decent environment. Elizabeth, Europe seems to be very divided about the way out. I mean, you've seen the Germans saying, and the French, everyone has to shoulder the burden of the migration issue. Some are saying, no, that's not, absolutely not our issue, none of our business. So how do you see a way out of the crisis of migrants?
Well, a difference of opinion has always been a problem when you're dealing with the EU and individual EU countries. There is a way out of it in terms of negotiating the way out of it. But the countries such as Hungary, which have tried to close their borders but have failed, and people have ended up walking all the way to Germany, they have to step up to the plate, because Morocco can't solve the problem by itself. North African countries can't solve the problem by themselves. There has to be a joint effort. And the only way to deal with that is through international diplomacy. and work out what those efforts are so that the burden does not rest on one particular country. And that's the fairest way and the most equitable and humanitarian way to go.
Konstantin, some countries are putting up fences, saying that we're not going to allow sub-Saharan migrants come into our countries. Some are saying we have to change things. As a migrant, what is your message to the international community?
I want to speak like Spain. They put the fences out for the migrants don't cross the border again.
In the city of Ceuta and Melilla.
Ceuta and Melilla. There is too much people there. They try to cross the border, but they cannot cross that fences because it's very hard. But I won't say Spain is like the murder, like to kill people. If they can free the circulation, I want to say, you can understand, to give us the possibility to cross with the visa, I think the people cannot take that way again.
Mohammed, this is a huge problem. You're talking about an influx of thousands and thousands of migrants, not only from sub-Saharan Africa. We're talking about now east of Africa, the Middle East, particularly Iraq and Syria. And Europe is saying that this is really too much and we need to spread this whole thing around not only Europe, but also we would like to see rich GCC Gulf countries be on board.
Yeah, I think that even when you think about this problem here in Morocco, when you look to the neighboring in North Africa, the other countries are not doing the same. They still don't have a specific policy for resolving this problem of illegal immigration. So I think that we need a global strategy, but in the same time, facing this problem, you need money. And the Europeans don't want to pay. They want to. I heard yesterday that some European politicians are saying that we must keep them in North Africa and pay for them there. I think that we have to stop to deal with this issue of illegal immigration as normal or a simple crisis. It's a very humanitarian problem.
There is this humanitarian aspect, but some countries also, Elizabeth, are talking about the security aspect of the story. Like if you look at North Africa, particularly now with the instability in places like Libya, the smugglers there, the rise of ISIL, the international community is saying, wow, this is a huge problem. We now have to tackle the influx of migrants. We're concerned also groups like ISIL might just step in, take advantage of the smuggling and build a solid platform in North Africa.
I totally agree. Those are valid concerns, and certainly the security concern is a big one Morocco has faced, given that it's the only country, Arab country, that's adopted such a migration policy that's open and welcoming, at least in theory. If in practice there are problems with it, I think that you're always going to face those security concerns, and partly they can be addressed through the regularization process, where people are vetted. And certainly one of the things that's been changing in terms of thinking for the EU is not having people having to register in the first port of call, in the first country they arrive in, that there's some kind of national, not national, but international EU process that covers all people coming in. You simply register, and then the process later for purposes of regularizing yourself happens on a national EU, international EU level. So perhaps the same sort of thing can be done in Morocco, but the problem is the reform hasn't been finished yet. I think it's still in process. And I think we have to think going forward what it's going to look like. But the problem is it's not, the stem of people is not abating. You have the 17,000, nearly 18,000 people who were regularized, but then you have another 10,000 people that were not regularized. And I'm not sure which, Constantine, I guess, fits into the 10,000 people. And then you have more people coming in all the time. So this is a problem that's going to grow and grow and become potentially a humanitarian crisis within Morocco. I mean, if you go to any roundabout in Fez, you see just groups of people with their hands out, sub-Saharan Africans just begging in the streets. You didn't see that, even in Rabat, although I've seen it more in Fez. You really didn't see that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly not. And that's a big change.
Constantine, I've met with sub-Saharan migrants who have been lobbying for years here in Morocco to change things for the better. You're one of them. You would like to see Africans given legal status, being able to go to schools, have their families reunited, and find an opportunity to work here and become integrated in the society. Are you thinking of spreading that message in North Africa so that we have Tunisia, Algeria, Mauritania, and Libya joining that effort and become more generous, more welcoming?
I think to give them the message is not a possibility for the moment, because some people leave the country with something in your heart. To tell them don't go to Europe, I think it's not good for me. I want to join Mr. Mohamed and say the problem is the original. What you can do to resolve that problem there in our country? If the problem is not resolved there, too much people will try to follow us because they say we are good here with the best clothes.
Mohamed, I think Constantine is trying to say it's not fair to tell sub-Saharan migrants the problem is in their own countries, because it entails that, you know what, we have to solve these problems, they have to go back home. And he says, we are facing huge problems. What we need now is to solve our problems where we are stranded. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, I think that for this Morocco is doing, I think, the best choice that to resolve this problem here. And the issue of the illegal immigration must be faced as a global issue. Of course, we have to deal with this new situation here in Morocco, but in the same time, I think that this century will be the century of the century of the immigration. So a lot of people will continue to move all around the world, but we know today that we will continue to be as transit, but in the same time a lot of people will stay in Morocco. Now we are just in the beginning of this process. A lot of problems are coming. But we have the feeling that
it's going to be solved in the near future.
Yes.
Elizabeth, if these problems are not solved, how do you see this region in the near future?
I think it could be devastating, and I think part of the pathway forward to resolve this issue is to look forward, but look what's happening now with investment that's coming into Morocco. You have, for example, a lot of American investment coming into Morocco. Use those companies who are creating these job training programs for Moroccans to help also have a component for the immigrants who've been regularized, to provide for employment. Because if you don't provide for employment for the people who are going to be here, you will end up with, I mean, worse than humanitarian crisis. You will end up with increased crime. You will end up with increased poverty, and that's no good for the Moroccan economy.
Let me end up by asking Mr. Constantine this question. Mr. Constantine, if you were given the chance between staying in Morocco or going to Europe, what will be your decision?
To stay here.
You would like to stay here?
Yeah, because I want to thank all people, all Moroccan people to accept us to stay with them in the same place, and to eat with them.
And I'll promise you that we will continue the fight to raise international awareness about the plight of thousands and thousands of sub-Saharan migrants stranded in different parts of the world, particularly in North Africa. Elizabeth, Constantine and Mohamed, thank you very much indeed for being guests at Inside Story. And thank you for watching. If you have any comments about today's show, do get in touch by going to our program page at aljazeera.com. You can also post comments on facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. You can also tweet us at AJ Inside Story. From me, Hashim Al-Barra, and the whole team, bye for now.